Okay, we're looking at Quinn top game. Player is level 24. So this is unranked. Just talking about the basics here. So, okay, so Irelia is cheesing out. Back off and vault. That's really good. Good trade. Not sure what she thought was going to happen there. But a good trade. Ideally, there wasn't much more you could do there, but ideally, that's a situation where, or that kind of thing is if you can get to lane and set it up in such a way that you get them low and force them to go back early. Or not early, but like right about now, if you could be forcing her to go back, then she would be late to lane. But anyway, since she forced the issue, you won the trade and forced her to go back, and so that'll at least put the fear of God in her. Okay, so that's not a, there's no need to put that ward there. This is your ward like this. You want this ward to be active and ready to put down by about 3 minutes 30 seconds, depending a little bit on who the jungler is. But Uter's a kind of, or sorry, Uter's your jungler. Or no, wait, no, he's not. He's the enemy jungler. I got confused by the Quinn on the other team. Uter is the kind of jungler who can pretty consistently get up to your side of the map by about 3 minutes 30 seconds, and so you want this ward you want to be able to place a ward in the brush right here, or somewhere in the river here, either right here or right here in this tri-bush, but somewhere in here to cover your the approach to lane, because he's going to be, if he's a good jungler and if he's smart, then he will be looking to gank at around that time between 3 minutes 30 seconds and 4 minutes 30 seconds. Again, because this is an unranked low-level game, some of those timestamps and things may not prove to be completely reliable here. But as you move up through the ranks and hit level 30 and start playing ranked, that will start becoming more and more consistently true. So it's a good idea to get in the habit of doing that. So this ward doesn't really do anything for you unless Irelia is constantly jumping in and out of this bush and making it really hard for you to trade with her. There's no good reason for you to put that ward there. All it does right now, if you're putting it down at 205, that means this ward, it has a 2-minute cooldown before level 9 before you can place it again. So all you've done here is put vision in an area that you already have vision because of minions and because you're there, and getting vision of this brush isn't really super critical at this point because Irelia is probably not going to make much use of this brush, and Uter's not going to be up here until it expires anyway. So it's much better to just hang on to that and throw it down in this bush or this bush at 3 minutes 30. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there. But if you want to throw an early ward down, it can be a good idea to do that, but you want to make sure it's down by 1 minute 30, so that which I think is yeah, by a minute 30 or earlier, and ideally you'd put it down in a traffic area. You'd put it down to protect your blue buff, or you could, if you felt confident, you could sneak it into this bush, or even all the way into this area to try to get an idea of where their jungler is starting, so that then you can get an idea of where he's going to be in a few minutes. Because if you can throw a ward down here, and Uter is starting red side, so he does Krugs and then he comes and does red buff, if you can get that ward in there by 1 minute 30 seconds, you will have vision of him as he walks up to do red buff, and then you know that he's going to do red buff, and he's probably then going to do maybe Razor Beaks, or he'll come do Wolves, or maybe he'll just head straight to blue, but either way he's going to be down on this side of the map in this area at about 3 minutes 30 seconds. or so. And then he can look to gank mid from the bot side, or he can look to gank bot. But if he's starting blue, oh, that's why it's confusing me, because he's invading. But if he's starting blue, then then the opposite will be. He'll do this, or he'll do Gromp, and then he'll do blue, and then he'll normally run right to red buff, and then look to gank. So anyway, so if you want to throw an early ward down, either do it defensively to guard your buffs from something like this happening, what he's doing right here. Bot lane could have thrown a ward down to prevent this from happening, or and you can throw one down here or on the buff to prevent it from happening on blue side. Okay. Okay, so this is a kind of a big mistake here. So early on, you're kind of pushing the lane a bit, and you're trading when you have an opportunity, and that's good. You can be doing a little bit better job of last hitting, but that's okay. So right now you want to look at this. You want to look at this situation. So this is the second wave that has come to lane, right? Because you have, yeah. So this is the second. So there's two waves that have come to lane. The first one, and then now this second one. So you have killed 4 of them. I think 5 of them total have, or 6 of them have died because there's 6 left. So you will hit level 2 at 7 minions right there. That 7th minion died. 6 have died. The 7th goes down. You hit level 2. So as you are prepping this here, so this is the remnants. I'm skipping back a little bit. So this is the remnants of the first wave. So right now you have, you've killed 3 and Irelia's killed 3. So that's okay. So you want to be pushing to make sure that you have an advantage. You're going to hit level 2 first. Because whoever hits level 2 first in this matchup is going to have a pretty significant advantage, especially if it's you. So you hit level 2 right there, but you're not in position to take advantage of it. So Irelia is at level 1. I didn't see what she level, what ability did she level? Hit and style. Okay, so she has 0 ability to close with you or stun you or do anything to you right now. She took her W, which gives her some lane sustain and makes her auto attacks hurt a little bit more if she uses the active, but it doesn't do anything for her in terms of being able to really trade effectively with you because you are ranged and you can stay away from her. So when you hit level 2, you can put a point in your Q, which you should have basically your fingers ready to just pop that immediately as soon as you hit level 2. If you hit control and then tap the key you want to level up, so control Q in this case, that will level it up without having to use your mouse and go click the button. So that can be a way you can just immediately level it up the second you hit 2. And you want to be in position to immediately press that advantage, because she does not have the ability to trade with you right now. She is low on minions. So if she does try to trade with you, your minions will aggro her and start doing damage to her. And there's more of them on your side than there are on her side. You have range, and she doesn't have a way to close with you. She doesn't have her stun, even if she was able to close with you, so you could keep kiting. You have a blind, so you can block the auto attacks that she's going to try to empower. You just win that trade in every sense of in every sense. And so as you see yourself, you're counting down the minions that you're killing. You've killed 6, and now the second wave has come to lane. And so you know the next minion you kill is 7, and you're going to hit level 2. You want to start positioning yourself more and more aggressively. You want to be working your way around so that the second that level 2 dings, you are standing within auto attack range, ideally having maybe sent an auto attack her way already, so that your passive is procced on her, so that the minute you hit 2, you can auto her, vault to her, auto her again, move over and use your Q, and you get her down to a half or maybe a third health. And then you are in a position to be able to zone for the rest of the laning phase. So right now you're kind of backing off and you're focusing on farming, which is good. I mean, that's good, and that's what you got to do. You know, obviously some of this stuff maybe is tactics and advice that you'll need to kind of just save until you get some more of the basics down to a science. But just keep that kind of thing in mind. That early level 2 is super important for a lot of matchups, and especially for Quinn, because she has a pretty big power spike at level 2. So yeah, so you are missing a lot of CS, and that's, it's a new player and you're learning that skill, so that's okay. But that's just something you really, really, really want to work on, because especially in a lane like Irelia, you will not be able to rely. Oop, always auto that. You will not be able to rely on getting kills against her. She has the ability to play pretty safe if she decides to, and so you got to be able to consistently be able to out CS people. As you a ranged champion and her a melee champion, there should just never be a time when she is out CSing you. That should just never happen, because you should be able to bully her every time she CSs, and she will not be able to bully you every time you go to CS. So it's about 4 minutes. Udyr is now doing his red buff. He decided to clear most of this side of the jungle before coming up here. So he's definitely a little behind of where, maybe somebody with a little more experience would be. And you are opting to go back to lane, or to go back to base. So right now, you have 450 gold. So that's not enough gold to buy really hardly anything worth buying. You're not really low health. You have plenty of mana. You don't need to go back right now. You are kind of giving up. The lane is pushed, and so that is definitely something to be aware of. You don't want to be up in her face necessarily, because you should be aware that Udyr is going to be starting to look for a gank pretty quick. But this is that situation where you want to have that ward up. So the ward is going to be coming up off of cooldown pretty quick here, and if you had thrown it down earlier, like we were talking a second ago, then it would have been up already, and you could go and I would probably suggest throwing the ward like right on the edge of the tribush right here. Because there's a good chance that Udyr will come through this tribush. If he's either going to come through it and go up through here to gank, or he's going to come through it and go through here to gank. It's possible he could come down and around and then come up through the bush here, but less likely. And if you put it right on the edge of the brush right here, you'll get vision of the tribush and him coming through there no matter which direction, and that'll also give you vision like out to here or so. Which will help if he does elect to just come through river. You have a chance of catching him, but hedging your bets, this is the best place to put it. And then you can be safe. Then you don't have to go back. You can be in lane. You can stay away from Irelia with Vault and Blind. You can continue to CS, because she's going to the tower's going to kill these minions pretty quick, and she will kill them. So these are going to be gone in a few seconds, and this is going to continue pushing, and your wave will get it to about here. So the wave will be right about here. And you can see us here just fine and push it into the turret again. So this is probably a mistake, because you're giving up a lot of lane pressure, and she's going to be able to freely CS this wave. The tower's not hitting it. So what she is able to do, doesn't look like she's going to do it now, but what she is able to do is set up a freeze, and she can just freeze it right in front of her turret, potentially, and if she's able to just let it sit right here, then you are constantly having to be a bit overextended in order to CS. And so you want to be careful about leaving lane at a time when the enemy laner is able to do whatever they want to set the lane up. And then again, so it's not letting me pause. I'll slow it down. So again, you went back and now you're teleporting back to lane. Teleport is a massively, massively, massively valuable skill, or valuable summoner spell. It's a 5-minute cooldown, 4 minutes if you use it on a turret. But it provides just an absolute immense amount of map pressure. If you have teleport up, you can get to anywhere on the map to help out with a gank, to help with the dragon fight, to push an objective, to pick up a kill. You can have it if you have your ult and teleport up. You can use your ult to roam down to mid, say, and then teleport back. it gives you an immense amount of just global pressure. And so to burn it to get back to lane, you should only use it to get back to lane as a last resort if you are going to lose CS within the next few seconds. So if it's all possible for you to walk back to lane, that is always the better way to go. So unless she is actively push the wave up to your turret and you're going to lose a lot of CS if you don't teleport, always try to hang on to that cooldown. This is a good place to put that pink ward, and it's good to throw it down before you walk into lane so she doesn't have a chance so she doesn't see it in your inventory potentially. But you can actually throw it over this corner right here. You can stand right here and get it into the brush. If you hold your cursor like right here and use it, it'll actually push it into the brush. It's just kind of a mechanic, and it's unfortunate that you happen to walk down right then and ward. But you can kind of predict that happening, because a smart player, when they're pushing past the river, they'll push a wave and then they'll walk down to ward and then come back and keep pushing. And so if she is actively pushing and going to get it to about here, not only are you is that ward going to be at risk because she's likely to come down and ward herself, but it's also kind of wasted because you don't need it there right then, because even if Udyr or whoever was to come up and try and gank you, you're under your turret right now, so it doesn't matter. They wouldn't be able to gank you. So you don't really need the vision at that point. So it would be better to sit on the ward. So ideally, you want to be able to put it down before you walk into lane so that she doesn't see you have a pink and then go looking for it. But in this situation, it would have been better to hold on to it because it was very likely she was going to walk down and check for and ward herself. So minions, when you're last hitting under turret, melee minions take 2 shots and then you can auto it and get the last hit. Caster minions take 1 turret hit and 2 autos. So usually you need to auto the caster minion, let the turret hit it, and then auto it for the last hit. So you might be able to get this one that way. So you autoed it, the turret hit it. Your auto attack speed is pretty low early on, so it's hard to actually get that. So you kind of want to prep those minions ideally before the turret targets them. But you can also use your abilities Blind and Vault to try to pick up these last hits too. Okay, so right there you had a good opportunity to trade, but opted not to take it. So I'll show you exactly what I mean. Okay, so you push the wave out, you're following it up, Irelia is there, and your passive marks her. And you... Your passive marks her, and there's no minion that you're going to lose. You're not going to miss a last hit if you spend an auto on her. There's nothing that's close to dying. Now it is because you used your Q, but you had plenty of time and were in range to hit her with an auto attack, and still be able to get all the last hits. So when you're in lane, your priority is last hitting. Your priority is farm. You want to be able to always prioritize getting last hits, unless you're able to get a kill. Because farming is your source of gold, and the only thing that trumps farming gold is kill gold. So if you are sure you can get a kill, then or force somebody out of lane to establish lane control in a bigger picture sense, sure, you can give up a few CS for the greater good. But that trade would have been completely free. She would have you would be able to hit her, do some damage to her. You probably could have even auto and then use your vault and hit her again. And you still would have had plenty of time to get the last hit. There would have been no danger of losing the minion. So you never want to trade a CS for trade CS for a trade. But in that case, it wouldn't have been giving up CS for a trade. It just would have been a trade and then CSing. You want to be careful about using your Q when in lane like this, because it does a lot of damage to multiple minions, and that will cause the lane to push. Because you're damaging her minions faster than she's damaging your minions. So ideally, if you can just last hit and not auto attack the minions or use abilities on them, unless you want to push, if you can just last hit, and if she's auto-attacking them and doing damage to them faster than just last hitting, then the lane will push your way. And if it gets to about here, then you can, you know, do more damage to the minions and you know, and do more than just last hit in order to keep the wave here. Okay, good. You're kiting pretty well. You could, I mean, you have the right idea. Mechanically, it could be better, but you have the right idea. Remember, and that's the other reason not to use Q on the waves, because it costs a lot of mana, and you want to always have it up when she's going to be trading on you like this. So that was pretty good. For somebody like Irelia, you can hit your blind immediately when they're dashing towards you, because she will rely on auto attacks to do damage to you after she gets to you. But what you did was fine too. So I'm just noticing now that when you went back that first time, oh, you missed your auto before you vaulted. Always auto vault, auto first, then vault to get to get 2 passive autos. You went back and bought a flask. Flask is not a bad item on Quinn at all in certain matchups. It's a good item in general. But again, you would be doing a lot better in this lane, I think, if you had opted to wait to go back and to pick up some damage instead, because Irelia is naturally just really strong, and if you don't have some weight behind your punches, so to speak, she is not someone that you can just out-sustain, because she will close with you and burst you and then get away, and then close with you and burst you and get away again, and it's not something you can really sustain out. She does too much damage and too fast to be able to really reliably sustain out of it, unless you're just going to be playing super passive and not allowing her to trade with you, but that gives up a lot of lane pressure. So for someone like Irelia, who does a lot of damage and has CC, it's better to get damage to fight fire with fire, or to just get a defensive item, although versus Irelia there isn't really a great defensive item to go. So versus Irelia, I would either go Brutalizer or Phage early, probably Phage, because Phage gives you some damage, but it also gives you a little bit of tankiness and better kiting ability with the passive. So that's a great item versus somebody like Irelia. And because you're Quinn and have a blind and vault to get away from her, she shouldn't ever be doing so much damage to you that you need the extra sustain from a flask. So yeah, again, I would opt for getting an offensive item so that she can't just freely bully you. It's going to cost her and do a lot of damage to her if she tries to bully you, so you want to put fear in her heart. You opted to get a Vamp Scepter, and you got a ward in a pot. This was really good. Always do this. Get in the habit of always getting a ward in a pot. However, I would not switch to the Sweeping Lens. This is a good item for mid laners, and it's a good item for supports, and it's a good item for junglers. Usually you want at least 2 of those 3 to have a sweeper on your team. But for top, and if for an aggressive champion like Quinn, who is often going to end up being pushed and who often wants to be split pushing, you will get a lot more mileage out of the yellow trinket, the upgraded yellow trinket, which gives you free wards all game. So that would be definitely the way I would recommend going. And then and early on, before you can buy it, to pick up a green ward and pink wards as needed to keep your lane warded. Also, but in general, it's really good that you picked up a ward in a pot. Get in the habit of doing that all the time. Every time you go back, try to pick up a ward if you don't have the warding trinket, and 2 pots, basically until it gets to late game. Then pots stop being effective. That was pretty sneaky of you to go in and check red buff. That's good. You can use your W to check that without having to face check it. I think you probably could have traded with him here. Udyr doesn't have much in the way of items yet. I think you could have vaulted off of him, or auto-attacked him and blinded him and continued to trade with him. You might not have been able to kill him, but you very likely would have been able to. Well, actually, I think you had the kill there, because you had ult up. So that probably was a kill versus Udyr, honestly. He really over-aggressed and flashed to get on you, so he had no way to get away from you. So that would have been a great time to go aggressive. He doesn't have any of his defensive items yet, so that was good to go check. You can use your W from about here to check red buff without having to face check it. The only thing that would have been better in that situation would have been to make sure the lane was shoved before you went in there, so that you weren't losing anything by, she wasn't just getting free time to CS for free, basically, and you weren't losing CS while you were in there doing it. But that's a little thing. In general, that was a good thing to go check, and so you're aware of the jungle timers. Sweeping that ward is good, but again, if your jungler isn't spending much time top, and with Shaco anyway, he has a lot of ways to get around wards in the first place. Keeping this part of the map ward free is not really all that important, because the only reason you want to have it ward free is so your mid laner or your jungler can come up and sneak up and gank. And if they're not going to do that, or they're not consistently doing it, or like Shaco has ways of getting around it, he can just he can come up to here and then jump into this bush and walk in, and the ward won't see him at all. Then it's kind of unnecessary. So again, you would be getting more mileage out of a warding trinket right now. You opted for Vamp Scepter, which again I think was kind of you were opting for sustain over offense, and versus Irelia, that's just not going to get a lot of mileage. You're not going to get a lot out of that, because she's going to go fairly bruiser, which is tanky and damage, and her kit puts out a fair amount of damage early. Well, it puts out a fair amount of damage all game. And if you are not able to do damage consistently back to her, then she will just be able to bully you, and she will start to snowball, and there will come a point where you just will not be able to even be in lane like this, where she can just jump on you whenever and do a third of your health before you can even run away. And so you can't even be in lane right now. And you can't sustain back from this. Like, you can sustain, or you can pop all 3 flask charges and last hit, but you will still not be back up to a point where you can stay in lane, because she'll just jump on you again and take away all your health again. So you need to discourage her from trading with you, because you trade harder than she does, and you can only do that if you opt for damage. So again, I would look to go Phage and then Brutalizer, or Brutalizer and then Phage, and then look to go for your Vamp Scepter into Cutlass. Vamp Scepter, or Vamp Start, or Cutlass Start is a good start versus champions that you are unlikely to be able to burst down and kill, and who are unlikely to be able to jump on you and burst you down. So if they're able to do a little bit of damage to you and poke you down, then Sustain is good, and you can use Sustain to counter their poke. Plus, if you don't need the damage to kill them, or you won't be able to, you probably won't be able to kill them even if you did buy damage, then that's a good way to go. So someone like Nasus, someone like Maokai, sometimes Scion, those kinds of champions who just go tank, and you are probably not going to be able to kill even if you are winning trades, because they're too tanky, and they can do pretty consistent poke to you, and so you need to just be able to constantly be regenerating health at a faster rate than you would normally. That's when a Sustain start is good. But versus someone like Irelia, it's better to go damage. This is probably a little bit advanced for where you're at right now, but one thing versus champions like Irelia, who move around a lot, and Yasuo's another one, and there's a few different champions that she uses her dash to get in, and it's hard to click on her and keep up with her when she's bouncing all around. One thing you can do is, when you're watching your CS, and so you can kind of predict when she's going to try to dash to one to last hit it, and you can use A click, which is attack move. You can press the A key, and that will change your cursor from yellow or green or whatever it is to red, which means if you click on the map, you'll walk up to wherever you clicked and attack whatever you find along the way. Or if you click on a target, then you will walk into range and attack that target. And what that does is, if you can anticipate when Irelia is going to dash, or just kind of guess that you think she might dash right now, and you A-click on her, then Quinn will automatically be trying to get into range to auto-attack her. So if she dashes in, Quinn will immediately auto-attack, and you won't have to be flailing around with your cursor trying to keep up with her dashing all over the place and misclicking and accidentally walking into her or accidentally hitting a CS or something. So there you walk down to throw your ward down in the bush, which is good, but it would have been better to wait until after this wave. So you should have pushed that wave and then pushed this wave, because right now you're still relatively safe. Even if somebody does walk up through here, you'll have plenty of warning and time to fall back. But as you get to about this position, now you want to have a warning, because now somebody could come all the way up here and you wouldn't be able to react until they got behind you. So now, so after that wave, now you want to go through and throw that ward in. That way the ward is fresh from this point, and so it hasn't already lost a quarter of its time before you really needed it. And you don't miss out on the CS, because you can finish the wave and then go put it and then come back in time to meet the next wave. After you hit level 6, whenever your teleport is up, you want to be keeping an eye on the minimap for situations like this, because this is a situation where you could teleport in and pretty easily pick up a kill on like Irelia. If you teleport in early enough, then Sivir is there and Blitzcrank is still up, and you can probably kill Irelia and or Udyr before Blitzcrank shows, and turn that into a pretty good turn for your team. That's the kind of thing you want to be looking for as Quinn. She has a fantastic roam presence, and with teleport, it's even more potent, because she can show up with her ult and just burst somebody down. So again, you teleport it back to lane, and I know you're not hearing me, so you're not ignoring what I'm telling you. But yeah, just never ever do this, and especially not to a ward. You're adding a minute to your cooldown for no good reason. You gain very, very little by teleporting here versus teleporting here. The only time you would want to teleport here would be if you wanted to get behind somebody that was like right here or something, but even that is going to be rare when that's really worth it. Because as Quinn, if you teleport to here and they start to run, you still have ult and can catch anyone, so it doesn't really matter if you're behind them. So always ult or teleport to a turret if you can, and look to not teleport to lane, or try not to teleport to lane. That's like a worst case last resort, teleporting to lane. Okay, I'm going to speed up a little bit. So right now, Irelia has 105 CS and you have 87. She has 7 kills because she has killed you, and she has roamed and gotten kills elsewhere. That's something that early on you are and should be able to do more effectively. Both of those things, you can be more effective at both of those things than Irelia is, especially if you're real sharp about looking for opportunities to teleport in and clean up kills and turn fights around. Irelia is the stronger fighter overall. She can get in and sustain and survive in difficult situations better than Quinn, because she's a bruiser as opposed to like an assassin. So you have to be a little bit smarter about when you teleport and what you do as Quinn than Irelia has to be. But you should be able to out-CS her really consistently from early on, and your roaming presence should be at least as strong as Irelia's is in a normal situation. So now you're in a situation where you're forced to push the wave, and Irelia is free to roam around and kill people. So this is always just a bad situation. So at this point, since the turret is down, this is a time when you want to be roaming around the map. It's not worth staying here and farming. This doesn't gain you enough. This is the kind of situation where, yeah, you slowly kind of catch up and farm, but you're losing the game while you do it, because you're just sitting up here CSing while your objectives are getting taken and your team is struggling with 4v5s. So it would be much better for you just to make sure that this turret is safe. So get the lane rolling this way. Make sure your minions you have more minions pushing than he has minions pushing. So it's going to roll this way like it is right now, and then go look to be effective around the map. So I'm assuming that you thought they went down into lane here. So that's a vision thing that you just need to, ideally your team would have more wards and you'd be able to predict a little better where they went. but you realized your mistake pretty quickly and teleported out, or recalled out, so that you didn't get collapsed on. But it was a really late roam as well. Ideally, you would have been there a lot sooner. Look at that again here. Okay, so Irelia dives because she's super, super strong, and then flashes out. You E onto her and do damage. That's good. That was okay. Okay. So the only real issue there was that you positioned maybe a little too aggressively and didn't finish off Ari in time. So as you went up into here, you hit Irelia, and she was low. But then as soon as she backed off into here, you kind of kept following her into the mix here and put yourself in the threat range of both Irelia and Ari, which is risky. That in and of itself was okay. And you kind of got yourself here in this position when Blitz and Quinn were coming down this way. So you always want to be just paying attention to your position and new threats as they're arriving. So Irelia was here, and she was the only threat, and then Ari comes into the picture. So you got to be thinking, okay, if I keep following Irelia, if Irelia is just booking it out to here, and I follow her all the way here, then I'm walking past Ari that whole time, and Ari is doing damage to me the whole time. So I'm probably going to die. So I probably need to switch targets to Ari. In that case, you were able to finish off Irelia pretty quickly, and so that was okay. And then you can switch targets to Ari, and that's kind of what you did. And then you positioned here, and that's okay. But you didn't finish Ari off, and so Ari was able to come back in and keep doing damage to you, and then Blitz came in and exhausted you, and that's what ended up killing you. So you should have finished off Ari, and if you weren't able to finish off Ari, then you needed to leave, because that became quickly a 3v1. Okay, so it looks like you switched to the warding totem back to the warding totem. So that's good that you switched back, but I don't, like I talked about earlier, I don't think it was really worth, I didn't pay it. Well, yeah, you started with the warding totem and then switched to the sweeping lens and then switched back to warding totem. So you don't really lose anything in terms of gold by doing that, but switching to the sweeping lens when you did was... it just didn't really gain you anything. So you didn't really lose anything overall, but you didn't gain anything either. And it probably would have been better to have that extra ward in lane. Okay, when you see a situation like this happening, and there's a fight, you want to just immediately ult. So you can get there sooner, and so you can get in and start cleaning up kills sooner. So just hit your ult so that you can close the distance faster, clean up a kill, move to the next one, clean up another kill with your execute. There's no good reason to really hold on to your ult in a situation like this. It has a pretty short cooldown. Uder's big, and Uder's someone that's going to be hard if he's big at all. It's going to be hard for you to deal with because he can consistently close with you even through your vaults and blind. So he's someone you got to be real careful about tangling with, where you don't have a significant advantage. Like, I know it was 2v1 there, but as soon as Shaco started getting the worst of it, you needed to be pinging back and moving back toward the turret, and not trying to mix it up with him yourself. Okay, I'm guessing you guys surrender here in the next few seconds. Yeah. It's kind of a weird time to surrender. I mean, you guys were definitely behind, and it was going to be tough to come back, but it wasn't a foregone conclusion. Like, You're only down 2,000 gold, which I realize you can't see in game, but you can kind of estimate it by looking at the kills, looking at the dragons, looking at how many turrets are down. You're down two, or you're down 6 turrets. They're down 4. Or wait, yeah, 4. And so, this is whatever, however much global gold, 150 global gold, or I think a certain amount of gold. And so is this one. And so you're not down that far from objectives. Your team has been doing okay. You actually just got a couple of shutdowns. So they are in a pretty strong place team fighting wise, but you guys have been doing okay too. Like this game is not over by any stretch at this point. It isn't. Irelia is massive and she's going to be a big problem. But Yasuo is doing pretty well too. So is Sivir. Sivir is actually pretty big. So anyway, so I understand why you surrendered. It probably felt like you were doing a lot worse than you really were. But you can kind of just keep that in mind. A good rule of thumb is if you are down to your inhibitor turrets and you have not taken any of their turrets, that can be a good time to surrender. If they take an inhibitor before you've taken any of their turrets, then that's pretty much a foregone conclusion. That's really hard to come back from and probably isn't worth your time. If they are up, if you have less than 10 kills and they have more than like if they're pushing 30 kills, that's a good time to surrender. It's probably not going to be able to come back from that. Anything can happen, but okay. So anyway, overall, you're doing some things well. You're actually kiting better than I would have expected someone of a under level 30 to be doing. You are looking to ward. Your warding techniques and tactics need to improve a bit, but the mindset is really good. You are thinking about warding and wanting to ward. So the biggest things you need to improve from this game is you really need to work on your CS, because you're missing a lot of CS, and versus a melee opponent like this, her CS is pretty bad too, to be honest. At 30 minutes she should be pushing. She should be at least at 200, especially since she's so ahead, at least at 200. So hers isn't great, but yours is really bad. I don't mean that to make you feel bad or anything, just objectively it's not great. And that's an area that if you can really dial in on your CS mechanics, and you can practice that in custom games, just you against nobody, and just practice on getting up to 90 plus CS at the 10-minute mark, and just so that your last hitting mechanics are just muscle memory, and that way you can focus on the bigger picture and the more complicated aspects of laning, and you're not having to devote so much attention to CSing. And it's just practice. It'll come over time, but it's a big fundamental foundational thing to succeeding at League. There's several matchups for Quinn that you are unlikely to be able to get kills against, and so you can't reliably snowball with kills and win your lane via kills, and so you have to look to win with superior CS and or with roaming by going and getting kills in other lanes, which is another thing that would be good for you to work on, is really trying to work on your map awareness. Quinn has a crazy strong roam with her ult. You can walk into this brush, ult, and be down in mid lane way before they will expect you to be there. So you can be keeping an eye on whether the mid lane is pushing toward your turret, and if that's the case, that's a good time to be looking to see if you can roam down. With teleport, you want to be looking to use teleport offensively more than defensively. You used it, I think, almost exclusively to get back to lane, which, again, unless you are going to miss a bunch of CS, is a waste. Only teleport to lane if you're going to miss CS. Otherwise, look to use it offensively. Or pseudo defensively. Look to use it to turn a gank in bot lane, or to join dragon fight, or to secure an objective, or to win a fight. Those are the things you want to use teleport for, not to get back to lane. That's a last resort. And it's a map awareness thing, and just thinking about using teleport in a better way thing. So CSing, thinking more about your ward timing, your map awareness, just watching the lanes. And then your build in this matchup could have been better, and I talked a lot about that. So I think you should have gone offensively more. And there was a lot of opportunities too for you to be trading more aggressively with Irelia, but That's something we can talk about more as time goes on, and as you master CS and warding, trading, then you can start working on trading. But CSing needs to come before trading, so I'll just leave it at that. Irelia is a tough matchup, but she is beatable. She's the kind of matchup where if she does get ahead, then it's pretty much impossible to take the lead back. So you kind of need to look to win the game in other ways, because Irelia is going to get crazy. So it is a tough matchup. This isn't one that's a lights-out victory for Quinn, but it is very winnable, and this one in particular was winnable, I think. So yeah, anyway, lots of good stuff to work on. But there's also things that you are doing better than I would have expected, so that's really positive. And from talking with you, it sounds like you have a great attitude about moving forward and about learning and being teachable. So keep that up, and yeah, look forward to looking at another game of yours soon and looking at the improvements you made. Thanks for the opportunity to do a replay. Hope it helps.